Hisada's bad finish back at Snetterton was not enough to relinquish the points lead, but it certainly put him at risk of being overtaken. The series of short tracks continues with today's event at Summit Point, so the drivers at least have that consistency to go on. Let's see who can capitalize as we get ready to watch Round 5 of the Lotus 49 Grand Prix Legend Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Christian Challoner. Behind the scenes is our director, Robert O'Brien, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Summit Point is one of the many road circuits where nearly every driver on iRacing has tried it at least once. Let's head to our track guide to find out a little bit more about it. Welcome to Summit Point Raceway. Once the stomping grounds of IMSA and Trans Am vehicles thundering through the West Virginia mountains, this circuit is now mainly used for club racing and performance driver training. Situationed a couple hours west of Washington, D.C., there are actually two entirely separate circuits that can be tackled here on the iRacing service. The main circuit is just shy of 2 miles in length, including 10 turns, and can be chopped off into the short version, which has 9 turns and only 1.5 miles for a lap. The Jefferson Circuit is its own 1.1 mile piece of pavement with a mere 7 turns and uniquely can be run in reverse. Both tracks are astonishingly narrow and provide quite a technical challenge. On the main course, the most popular place to pass is down into the first corner hairpin. While some drivers may try a brave dive into turn 5, the frighteningly fast-kinked entry makes it prone to things going wrong quickly. Between there and turn 9, it's essentially a single-file affair with nothing but tight and twisty bends snaking their way around. The Jefferson Circuit isn't used as often, and because there are a few straights long enough to get a run on someone, most drivers are forced to wait for a mistake to pounce on. Otherwise, qualifying will be key. Believe it or not, IMSA's GT class raced here in the late 80s, and even Can-Am stopped in back in 86. While it probably sees much more competition here in the virtual world, it's easy to see why plenty of real drivers love to take their vehicles out to try and tackle this historic Appalachian venue. Well, it may be a small track, but Christian, it's a bit old school, and I guess that's about the best you could ask for with this car.
Yeah, exactly. It's actually very, very well suited to this car. Obviously, it looks pretty much like an old 1960s road course, and 10 turns here. Some really good passing opportunities around this racetrack. Obviously, turn 1 is probably the best passing opportunity you're going to get, especially if you get a good run through Paddock Bend, and quite a long straight for a nice draft there. But then there's also the secondary passing opportunity just after the chute, but much, much more dangerous. Absolutely a great track in the 49, though. Would highly recommend.
It is the one place where I've ever gotten a win in the Lotus 49 in an official session, so definitely has fond memories for me as we take a look at the championship now. And up at the top of it, as I mentioned, Togo Hisada currently leading the way by 14 points. It was much larger than that compared to last week, as Laust Olsen is not too far behind with Topi Kortinemi having slipped all the way down to 4th, unfortunately, and then it's 2 points separating him and his fellow Finn Vascalampi. We have the F2 Championship as well, Christian, and how is that shaping up?
Well, Jorge Neva is actually still in the lead of that, but just by 5 points over Bill Wright. Randy Howe is also in that fight. He's only 1 point further back in 3rd. Matthew Maudsley is quite a bit further back now, 20 points back in 4th, but just ahead of Rowley Wellbank, who is 23 points back in 5th.
Of course, we have the Nations Cup, and up at the top it is still Finland leading Japan, with Germany tied with them now. United States and United Kingdom in a very tight fight amongst themselves, so we'll see how that one shapes up. And of course, we have race details for today. What are the drivers up against?
Well, it's pretty typical race length, actually. 30 laps is kind of where we've been around the whole season so far, really. Round 5 of 12. Obviously, open setup as always in the 49, and no spare car. So hopefully we're not going to see a repeat of what we saw at Snetterton, where kind of the first lap was pretty much a minefield as we got to the end of the race.
Yeah, it certainly caught a lot of people out, but I have a feeling after 2 weeks in a row of very short and punishing tracks, they're going to be a little bit more wary. Now, we do have some unfortunate news here today. Those who are longtime fans of the Lotus 49 Grand Prix Legends Series might be familiar with Colin Bentley, and unfortunately, he has sadly passed away recently. So our condolences rather, go out to his family. The drivers have done some special stuff this week to honor Colin because many of them obviously were friends with him. And you can see they actually held a special session here where a lot of the drivers came in and make sure to change their helmet to black and their race suits to black to basically send him some love and honor to his family. So this was a practice session that they hosted themselves and invited everybody who is part of the Lotus 49s to come in and take part. So that was very kind and generous of them. We've also got a bunch of stories and tales that they have shared that we'll try and pop through a few of those as time goes by. And if you would like to pay your respects, of course, we can help you get in touch with the community and they can tell you where to go, because a lot of them have been reaching out to the family, and the family has been very appreciative of this touch from all of his friends and acquaintances here in the sim. Just goes to show, honestly, Christian, just how much this means, this sim means to racers around the world, because yes, it is virtual. Yes, we're not risking life and limb, but I've been on this for 13 years now or 12 years now, and the friendships are real.
Oh yeah, they absolutely are, and I think pretty much everybody who's been involved with sim racing or really any other gaming has definitely kind of come across this, where you kind of meet people in sessions or whatnot, and then 5, 6, even 10 years later, you're still talking to the same guys. So absolutely, the friendships made with this are totally real. And I think it's been very moving that the Lotus 49 community has put this all together.
Absolutely. I've been looking through some of the testaments that the drivers have been sharing. There was a very touching one from Rob Olenek, another long timer here in this series, said that he practiced and raced every week with us. He was a joy to share a track with, and he was just a great guy and friend. He was always one of the first to wish everyone luck and give congratulations. Never a negative word or attitude was ever heard from him. He was just too nice for that stuff. And I think that definitely is a good testament of the kind of guy that he was. We're just waiting for the first cars to get some laps in here in the warm-up, and it is pretty good conditions today here, Christian, with just over 81 Fahrenheit I'm seeing. So that should hopefully help the drivers here on this very narrow track keep it on the surface.
Yeah, it should definitely help. Obviously, kind of a bit of a morning session, so a little bit cooler than you would see in the afternoon, which is definitely always a good thing, especially in a car that inherently has as little grip as the Lotus 49 does. So yeah, definitely nice conditions for a track, which, to be honest, is quite punishing if you make mistakes. Obviously, we talked a little bit about the passing zones down into turn 1 and then after the chute, but the chute itself is a very, very difficult corner with very little margin, and if you get it wrong through there, you're pretty much going to miss the next corner, which I believe you affectionately call yard sale.
Yeah, here on GSRC, we have nicknamed it that. I want to say it was Kevin Brown who first started calling it that, but don't quote me. But it was because we just kept seeing so many cases where the starts of races would wind up with 4 or 5 cars all kind of scattered on the exit. And there you can see there in the footage, that is where they wind up there at the bottom of the screen, kind of with parts and cars all across the yard ready for sale. So hopefully we don't wind up with that today. It is a very tricky one through the chute, trying to get that car woed up, especially this one that does not like to turn and brake for sure. Of our qualifying laps, we'll get that up on screen here in a second. Looks like McClarridge currently has the provisional pole over Topi, Courtaniemi, and Ove Trangrade. Hisada was in the practice sessions, checking to make sure he is here. He is, and looks like he's still got one more lap to set, so he could come in and upset the order here.
Yeah, but he's really up against it. It's a very, very large field here today. I believe we're actually up over 43 cars is the highest number I'm seeing in the list so far, so It's very, very punishing if you don't complete a qualifying lap, and I believe he's actually just completed a lap, but it's only put him in 7th spot with a 109.18, so about 4/10 off Mick Claridge's pole time.
Yeah, a few drivers have been saying they are struggling today. I see actually Rob Olenek, who I mentioned earlier, has set, say, 109.319. He says he messed that up, so he might be a little bit out of position as well. But this is Chris Murakami, who has finished both of his laps and is just basically getting some practice in. I think Gary Ho still has time to set his last one with about a minute left on our clock, and it looks like Colton Conover also able to. But other than that, I think those are the only two with laps left on the board.
Yeah, and a couple of drivers don't look like they're going to set a time. Eugenio Massa is one of them. Also, Eido Santos Galindo is also at the tail end of the field currently, and that's going to be very, very difficult to recover from, especially at a track that's as short and as narrow as this one. And once again, the field is very, very tightly packed. We've got 108.7 for the pole time, but you've only got to go down to a 110.2 to put you in 20th place.
And Conover managed to put himself at 18th, Gary Ho into 34th, which means our grid is now set. So let's go through that starting order here. Mick Claridge is on the pole with Topi Korteniemi in second place. It's Ove Trangrade P3 with Sebastian Tixier in fourth. It's Xavier Sanchez, great qualifying with fifth. Roman Pavlowski starting sixth. And then Toga Husada, a little bit slow today, starting from seventh. You've got Martin Grandberg in eighth, Rob Olenek in ninth, and then rounding out your top 10, it's Bill Tyler.
And then lining up in 11th, it's Bill Wright with Laust Olsen alongside him in 12th. John Olsen next to him in 13th. Miro Hasaki in 14th. Chris Murakami, we saw him doing a couple of extra laps there in qualifying. He's in 15th. Leonard Schneibel is in 16th with Bruce Nelson in 17th, just behind them. Colin Conover, we talked about him a little bit, in 18th. And our F2 points leader, Jorge Neva, is in 19th with Matt Wright lining up alongside him in 20th.
Robert Plumley 21st, followed by Marco Antonio Lopez Salgado in 22nd. Then you got Michael Grissinger, P23. Emmanuel Pereira, P24, followed by Jeff Saunders. You've got Christian Escher on the outside of that row. Andreas Schuster, 27th, and Randy Huff, 28th. Then next row, Nolan Smith on the inside and Chris Hengler on the outside.
And then lining up in 31st, Kevin Bruggen with Gary Kellen in 32nd, Peter Vorsky in 33rd, Gary Ho in 34th, Matthew Maudsley, another one of our F2 drivers, he's actually starting way back in 35th today, with Glenn Becker alongside him in 36th, Dave Cohen in 37th, Rowley Wellbank in 38th, and the last to set a time there, Eido Santos Galindo with 39th, and Eugenio Massa in 40th.
41st is Gary Anderson with Robert Reynolds 42nd and Aldrich Fraunberg in 43rd. So we're getting ready to go here in just a moment. Got a few seconds left. We just about have every car lined up. Looks like they're all out there as the engines start to rev and the lights come up. Green flag is out and off the line. Mick Claridge is pretty decent. Looks like Korteniemi is going to try his best to challenge him down to the first corners. It's a drag race for third with Sebastian Tixier on the outside and Ove Trangrade on the inside. Good braking from Korteniemi trying to take that one away, but it's not quite there. They all pile into the first corner, not seeing any contact. And looks like we might be okay. A little bit of bumping in the very back, but otherwise clean.
Yeah, I believe everybody in the top 20 at least got through turn one there with no issues.
Impressive stuff. It's known for seeing drivers come together at times as everybody's eager on the brakes when they're all close together, but into yard sale. They now try and find and pick their way into that left-hand hairpin. So far, so good. But look at this. Up at the front, side by side between Claridge and Korteniemi, and still Topi can't pull that away.
Yeah, surprised to see side by side through there so early in the race on lap one as well. Not surprised that Mick didn't give that up, but definitely Korteniemi is going for this.
And Mick is not really in the championship on this one. He goes a little bit wide, opens the door. Korteniemi steps through with ease as he flies across the start-finish line to complete lap one behind them. It's not over as well as they've got Trangrade and Tixier both battling, slamming onto the brakes once again. Looks like Trangrade wants to try and take the spot away as Granberg goes off in the background.
Yeah, we didn't see too many drivers struggling with turn 1 on lap 1, but it's definitely caught a couple out on the second lap here.
Tires still trying to get up the temperature a bit, I'm sure, and maybe a little bit more speed, obviously catching them out. So Courtiniemi flying down into the braking of yard sale. Not able to get any passes done quite yet, but we focus now on Tixier, who wants back onto the podium.
And Tixier has had a couple of really good weeks, actually, and once again, obviously qualifying in 4th, so he's well in this top 5 group. And what's good today is that we haven't seen everybody split up immediately on the first lap, so everybody's actually really, really still connected, especially in this top 5.
A little bit of an issue there coming through Paddock Bend for Tixier, and now Roman Pawlowski is able to capitalize. He gets down to the inside, flying down the front stretch into turn 1. He's got to get the job done, though. A little bit later on the brakes, Tixier. Oh, it's too late on the brakes, and he's off the circuit.
He's not going to lose that too much. He's going to be just at the back end of the top 10, but that's really the critical part of the track is turn 1. It's just so difficult getting the car stopped there, and somebody else has gone around. It's Sasada.
Oh, and that was the main rival of Tixier. And that is a boon for Sebastian because he looked like he was going to lose out on points now suddenly to his championship rival. But his Sada all the way down to 23rd, almost 24th now. I'm not sure if he got damage from that, but the car does not look totally healthy.
Yeah, it looked like he just had the right rear on the grass on turn in there, but we'd have to get a replay just to see if that was exactly the case. But once again, another consecutive week for Hisada, actually, where the beginning of the race has just really gone against him.
Yeah, that's twice in a row. Here we've got a replay. Let's see which incident this is for. This is Hisada's just out of Wagon Bend. That is a hard one to go too wide through. And was it? Oh, he touched the grass. And wasn't that Tixier to his inside even? No, that was Olenek, excuse me.
It just looks like Tixier's car. It's the same color and everything. But yeah, you just saw there the right rear just on the grass at turn in. And that's all you need to send one of these cars around.
You might notice the black stripe going down his livery as Olenek's now had a problem. Olenek is off and trying to get the car back on. So let's see what happened to him. Same corner. Did he also clip the grass a little bit here? Looks like he was battling a little bit side by side, so there still could have been some contact. Now he's fully through. Didn't touch the grass. Nope, second part, almost a carbon copy.
And it's so easy to do, especially in a car such as the 49. You see just back into the barriers there a little bit, but that won't be enough to do any significant damage to the car.
But he's down to 23rd position and appropriately behind Togo Hisada, who had the same issue. As we come back up towards the front now, Trangrade chasing Claridge, chasing Courtiniemi. There's your podium, 1, 2, 3. Right there. And I was about to say, you can see some of the drivers sporting a black stripe down the center. They have also changed up the liveries in a lot of cases, again, to honor the passing of their friend Colin Bentley, where it is the traditional colors of their nation with that black stripe down the middle of the car. So, Topi Courtiniemi, I think one of those also, he's one that is sporting that on the number 2. Starting to pull away a little bit from McClaridge through that sequence of corners on the back half of the circuit. It's back up to 0.7 of a second as we look off the rear over that Cosworth DF.
Courtiniemi looking very strong. Claridge looks like he's actually going to be under threat from Ove here into turn 1.
Yeah, he's a little bit close, but not close enough as they all once again get on the brakes, and a lockup in the second part of it from Trangrade as he has to catch the car. And now he falls back slightly, and it's going to separate our top runners.
Yeah, turn 1 continuing to catch drivers out. Not too many going fully off into the gravel there, but quite a few of them just making enough of a mistake to sort of break up the pack a little bit.
Ooh, and just about had another off there for Ove Trangrade with wheels in the grass. It's actually very lucky he was able to get the car slowed up. Let's take a look at this. Usually this is an automatic spin.
Yeah, and this is where we're talking about, actually, down into well, yard sale, and this is what I was really worried that we would see on the first lap.
Watch the left-hand side tires. Oh, it went loose very early. Interesting.
Yeah, looked like it got away from him right at throttle lift, and actually almost lucky that it didn't go completely around. Obviously very lucky he didn't end up with all four wheels on the grass, because there would have been no way he was getting that stopped for yard sale.
Ooh, Tixier gonna try and make a move, getting a position back from Laust Olsen, and he does it up to 6. This is a quick climb here for the 10 after his earlier problems. He's not the only one that's been having issues. We haven't covered it, but Schnabel in the 20 car had an off earlier, and a number of others. Looks like, did Rob Olenek just have an off? Yes, he did. His second of the day, this time going too deep into turn 1. So back at Tixier now, catching up to Xavier Sanchez here in P5, exactly where he started this race. Not been too bad of a job here in just a few laps for Sebastian to try to make up for his issues earlier on. But here's the pace difference between Sebastian and Ove Trangrade. Last lap, obviously a bit errant, trying to catch back up, making a pass. But otherwise, seems... Oh, excuse me, Ove is faster. I was looking at that backwards. So, but lost speed, lost pace on that last lap. Now he's responded with about a 10th over his rival this most recent lap.
Yeah, and Ove's just slipped back a little bit from Mick Claridge. He's still within a second, but he's definitely not troubling him for that second spot right now. But Cordanimi has really taken off at the front. He's got a 1.1 second advantage, which doesn't sound too much, but it's pretty significant, especially when we consider at the beginning of the race he wasn't the pole sitter, Claridge was, and saw Cordanimi wasting no time at all trying to get the pass done on the very first lap.
Mick, having had some other endeavors recently, he's been trying to make a trip around Europe on his bike. It's just, unfortunately, the nature of COVID has prevented him from really getting that going proper. But it's kept him away from his sim rig, and I know he's been a little rusty. He's admitted as much, but clearly still has the 1 lap pace. Unfortunately, seems to be just shy of it here today with about a 1.5 seconds off of Cortanimi, and we're already into lap 9.
Yeah, it definitely looks like Cortanimi is the fastest driver today so far. So unless he makes his kind of own mistake, I think he's going to go relatively unchallenged. But right now we have got quite the stack up happening for 10th place down to about 17th, really. It's all behind Bill Wright.
I was just noticing that too. Let's turn the cameras over there. There we go. Yeah, and whoa, somebody off big time. Martin Granberg again. We saw him go wide in turn 1 earlier on. He's going to get the car rolling. I think he is able to get away without too much damage. It seems to be tracking straight, but let's see as he takes the number 1 down into turn 1, and then it's going to happen through Wagon Bend here. Left-hander blind, and we've already seen the grass get clipped. And again,
it's just so easy to do, especially with this car where the front tires are narrower than the rears are. Well, I should say the track width at the front is narrower than the rears, and yeah, obviously you think you're going to miss it, and you do with the front tire, but the rear tire grabs it, and that's what sends you around.
As we come back to a battle on screen down into the braking of the first corner. Murakami at first wanting to move, but now it's Bruce Nelson, and someone goes off in the background.
I think it was Hisada. It was.
Hisada off the track yet again, finds a bit of pavement in the access road, and is able to get it going straight finally. Whoa, nearly took somebody out. I'm not sure who that was, but that was a dire moment. I think that was Plumlee that he just about took out.
Yeah, you can see he was trying to... Well, it didn't look like he was actually trying to make a pass there. It looked like he just got caught out by how early the 16 braked and just completely missed his own corner because of that.
Lost sight of his braking point maybe and wound up sending it almost into the barrier. Let's take one more look at it. Wow, great avoidance though. I'm sure the 16's appreciative of that. It was Matt Wright, the second one that just about ran into as well. Well, we were watching Bill Wright momentarily before. He's lost a couple spots. Or no, he's still up there, actually. And under attack from Chris Murakami. So Bill Wright still able to hold on. Bill Tyler third in line behind Murakami. They've got Bruce Nelson in there. Matt Wright as well as Robert Plumlee. And coming down into the chute once again. Whoa, it seems like Murakami maybe a little too ambitious on the brakes, almost getting into the gearbox of the 22.
Yeah, it looks like we've definitely got a bit of target fixation going on right now in the race. It's not the first time we've seen a couple of cars nearly kind of run each other over in the braking zone.
Oh, he said it's a small track. I guess not many places to look except ahead as the drivers come across turn 9 and up and over the little crest underneath the bridge. We ride with Murakami. This is where he wants that good exit out of Paddock Bend and onto the main straight. This gives you a good idea of just how thin it is. Basically a 2-lane road that they're running on and not enough of a drag down to the first corner. But once again, he goes deep. He saves it. Doesn't quite make the apex, but he does make the corner.
Yeah, Bill Wright is kind of just, he's running a decently good line. It just seems in the braking zones he's pulling the car up much earlier than everybody behind him, and it's actually catching a couple of these out. Obviously Murakami is looking for the pass here, but he's almost caught out by how close he is, and he is caught out this time. He's out on the grass in the chute. He's going around.
Luck ran out, and that sent him into the wall. Stay off the racing line. Yes, thank you. He manages to stop it just in time. Now, how hard of a hit was it? He did get the suspension, so hopefully it didn't damage that. Let's watch from on board. This is through Wagon Bend. This is through the chute, and he makes contact, having to avoid, and then off into the grass from there. It's good night.
Yeah, not really much you could do to save that one. A fairly light contact with the barrier there, all things considered.
Thankfully, but seems he's able to keep going for now as he's in 19th. Mick Claridge may have lost the 1 spot. Let's see if he'll lose 2, because his second place is under threat from Ove Trangrade, longtime rivals in this series. Ove running the 13 that you see there, just kind of stalking behind.
I think Ove does have a little bit more pace at this point in the race, and obviously nobody else really around them. Kortanimi is checked out in the lead, and Roman Pavlovsky is pretty much 6 seconds behind this pair, so they can really have a good fight here and not really lose anything other than the 1 spot.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's not just Roman behind them. Tixier's closed up to the back of Roman. If he gets by him, you have to wonder how quickly he's going to be able to make time up on those ahead. Well, he might get by here. He took a look, but then decided against it and backed to the racing line behind Pavlovsky. He's got to watch out for Sanchez, who we can't currently see behind him, who could potentially snatch that position up if he gets a mistake out of the 10.
Yeah, Sanchez is having another really good run. He's back there in 6th spot, but he's had a really measured race once again, and is going to come away with a good finish if he can just hold on to it.
Braking hard down into yard sale. They stay line astern, nose to tail here around the carousel. And look at the different lines that we're seeing out of each of them. Everybody kind of having their own unique take on this twisting set of corners, but finally they get on the throttle once again, coming along the back stretch and into Paddock Bend. Who can get this final corner right? Not Roman Pavlovsky. He's wide. Tixier says, that's all I need. I am through and up to 4th.
And it doesn't look like it's over either. Sanchez is having a look. He's looking for that 5th spot from Pavlovsky.
Kicking a little bit of dirt up that's been dragged onto the track by our drivers, but nobody's spinning out, thankfully. And Pavlovsky keeps... Oh, I spoke too soon. I was going to say he keeps the spot. And unfortunately, a little bit of a mistake sent him down. I think Trangrade just got the spot past Claridge, too. Mistake, and guess where? Paddock Bend, again, touching the grass. Just on that right-hand side. I think the drivers are going to start calling for iRacing to pave that little spot. Look at that. Exact same thing.
It's just enough. And the thing is, you want to push that extra track width that you kind of have there from the paved sections as well, because obviously it's a pretty tricky corner that you want to kind of wind out as much as possible. So you're drawn into doing it. I can totally understand why we see so many people end up out there.
So now I'm curious what the pace is like compared to the rivals in 2nd and 3rd. Tixier just came across a 109.4. Trangrade's last one, a 109.5. Ooh, okay. The plot thickens. We still got plenty of laps left. Granted, it is a long ways to go for Sebastian. But if he keeps chipping away at that, and if Ove stays distracted with Mick, we could see them start to come in contact with one another. They just go by the lapped car of Robert Reynolds. Back row Bob lets them through nice and easy. This will be really telling because we'll finally get a representative lap for Claridge as we come back to the train behind Bill Wright. Bill Tyler with him now in 2nd, taking a look around the outside as Wright goes defensive. Billy Bob not willing to give this up. And this is kind of par for the course. We've seen this in the past where Billy Bob is a good defender, does not give these up easily, and he's proving his worth right here today.
Yeah, exactly. And there's actually been a couple of times where Bill and Bill have been side by side, but just Bill Wright's been able to maintain the position somehow. And yeah, I mean, you've got to give it to him. He's been doing this for pretty much the whole race to this point, with 4 or 5 cars in close proximity behind him, and he's not cracked at all. So doing a great job holding everybody off.
Another look to the inside, just deep enough to hold him back, but Bill Wright blinking a bit, unfortunately. Thankfully comes back in time so Tyler knows where he is on the track. But the train continues. Got to think that some of those drivers in 3rd, 4th, or 5th in line might eventually decide they've had enough of sitting here and have their own go at things.
Oh, they'll definitely try, but as we've seen, we got a bit of contact towards the tail end of the group.
That was Matt Wright. Unfortunately, contact with Robert Plumley just touched him in the back through the chute, and that sent him around.
Yeah, you see kind of a bit of line crossover there, and that's really what got the two of them together. A fortunate incident, really. Obviously lost a couple of positions, but no contact with the wall, and the car righted itself almost to let him get back going.
Unfortunately, he had a second hit with the wall. He tried to get the car going. Must have had maybe something wrong with the gearbox or something, because the car just suddenly whipped around, and he has since come into pit lane. So had to take a tow. Here we go again between Tyler and Wright, and this time he's through. This happened down into turn 1. Just a bad exit by Billy Bob, and finds himself demoted to 11th now.
Yeah, that was...
Ooh, something wrong with Olsen. He's facing the wrong way on the track, and he's in a very prone position. He's going to find a gap to get going just as we go to replay. And this looks like a spin all on his own in yard sale.
Yeah, really unfortunate, though, because he was well inside the top 10. He was actually running in 7th with a little bit of a gap to Hiraski in 8th, but now he's going to be right in amongst this fight that we've been talking about.
Just lost control of it. Don't think he had any sort of contact there, but he nearly did as he tried to get rolling. Now, I mentioned earlier, the lap times of Claridge were of interest because Tixier is now the one trying to chase him. Well, last time, Mick Claridge 109.4, Tixier 109.1. That said, the lap before, Mick was 0.6 quicker than Sebastian. So a bit of a yo-yo between them, and whoa, a lot of action here coming down into turn one. Many cars side by side, right going wheel to wheel with Bruce Nelson, who gets through behind them. Oh, car off track, and Rob Olenek once again down through turn three. This time he's ready for it. He saves it before it makes its way to the barriers, but all kinds of time is bled away.
Yeah, it looked like he was trying to go to the outside of, I think it was Laust Olsen there, and I'm not sure Olsen knew that he was there on his outside.
Certainly didn't seem like it. There's not much room to try and go wheel to wheel through Wagon Bend, and they paid dearly for it as the battle continues. Olsen now up to 12th, seeing if he can try and be the next one to pass Bill Wright. They go by Eugenio Massa, who stays off and out of the way to the side. And very deep from Laust Olsen, going way off to the side. Now Togo Hisada has a great opportunity. He's got the run and the slipstream, looks down to the inside, tries to outbrake him. Very early marker for these drivers here at this track. And I think he is through. No, fighting back a little bit. Laust Olsen tries to take it to him, but there is nothing there.
Yeah, and Hisada on the recovery drive, we saw him with his two incidents. But he's made a good job right now. He's almost back inside the top 10.
Minimizing mistakes seems to be the story of the day, because Ove Trangerade had an off in Wagon Bend, and Mick Claridge has now managed to get by. So back into second place for the number 4. There you can see him leading now by about half a second. And that should be more time that Tixier's gained. Yeah, down to about 6 seconds, but he's not gaining as much as he needs. He's got about 9 laps left to go. Oh, Togo Hisada looking for 11th, maybe.
Great run here off the last corner.
Another great bit of speed. And he's already wheel to wheel, but it's going to be a game of chicken trying to outbrake him, and it looks like he is much better on the binders. As long as he can make the corner, he's very shallow into it, and he does. Behind them, Laust Olsen was thinking about trying to get involved as well. So, drivers continuing to make up for big mistakes early on, multiple mistakes in some cases for a few of our drivers. Certainly seems to be a track that has caught a lot of them out. Oh, and Olsen is the latest. No, that's Granberg, excuse me. Went off through the chute. So we come back to Xavier Sanchez, Sebastian Tixier just in front of him. As Sebastian seems to have gotten by, but not been able to drop him. Club Iberia driver. Oh, somebody off the course. Looks like that's Salgado. That's a lapped car, so he's trying to stay out of the way after what must have been another mistake into Wagon Bend. And now Chris Hangler, the next one that they have to overtake. Lap traffic starting to become thicker and thicker out here.
Yeah, and it's much more difficult to deal with here than it was at, say, Snedderton. Obviously, there's much fewer straightaways and many more kind of continuous corners you see here through the S's, and this is going to give Sanchez a really good opportunity into the last corner, I think.
If he's got the speed coming off of Paddock Bend, let's see. He's going to try for it, and unfortunately that does not look to be a strong enough exit for him. Coming across the line yet again. Lap 23 out of 30 now. It's ticking away, and Topi Kortaniemi, ever since taking the top spot away from Mick Claridge, seems to have had control of this race.
Yeah, he's completely checked out. We saw him kind of get that early gap that was pretty ominous to sort of start pulling away so early on in the race, especially with kind of the draft assistance and everything. So as soon as he broke away from that, it wasn't too surprising to see him pull out this 5-second lead.
This is one of our best battles right here amongst our front runners. Now you can see the pace difference between Topi and McClaren. Claridge actually gained a huge chunk on lap 20. I wonder if that was due to lap traffic or something, because it certainly looked like took 3/4 of a second out of him there. Continue to watch Sanchez and Tixier. I'm also keeping half an eye down on Billy Bob Wright, who is, despite losing multiple spots, still playing rear guard and still fighting for his life not to give up too many positions. And there you see the 22. He's currently got Olsen, Plumley, and Olenek. Looks like Martin Granberg now a part of that after he had his off course that we saw momentarily ago.
And this is going to get difficult for Bill Wright to continue to hold off this group. Obviously, for a long time he was kind of in amongst drivers who were of similar pace, and I think that's how that kind of stack up kind of formed. But now he's got the recovering Olenek and Granberg in this group, and they're not going to want to wait around.
Yeah, down to his inside. Olsen manages to sneak through. Side-by-side battle between Plumley and Olenek, and up ahead you may have seen Hisada got past Snelson as well. So it's all erupting in the mid-pack now. Gonna have to start calling Billy Bob the Florida Gator as well. The way he just latches onto spots and he will not let go. Down, braking into yard sale once again. Plumley looking this way and that, hoping to find an opening. And Olenek usually much faster than this. Of course, he qualified in 9th. He's down in 15th. So I have a sneaking suspicion that Robbo is going to have a chance to try and get by if he finds the right opening.
Yeah, both Rob and Martin are quite a bit further back than we're sort of used to seeing them right now.
So this is atypical for them for sure. So we are right on board, flying down into the first corner. Once again, taking a look to the inside. Plumley almost managing to get past Billy Bob Wright, but nothing doing there. In fact, behind him, we couldn't see it, but Rob Olenek is getting eager. His wheels spinning up, trying to get the power down as quickly as possible. Let's watch this once again.
Oh, there's been some contact. It looks like Plumley and Olenek have just had a coming together going down through the chute.
Oh, they did. They're off course. Rob had a much better exit. You can see right here, he thought he had an opportunity, but Plumley, I think, braked a bit more than he anticipated and climbs over the rear of the car in the process.
Yeah, I think they were kind of stacked up again behind Bill right there.
Yeah,
a little early on the brakes, and that's all it takes when everybody's that close together.
If we come back live, Olsen and Vrasky fighting for 7th place right now down into Wagon Bend, and Olsen is the one who comes out ahead of that one. That was an attack, so he manages to move up one spot as they also overtake Back Row Bob once again.
And Granberg is side by side with Bill Wright now.
Around the outside of Wagon Bend, and he's got it done. So Bill Wright bleeds yet another one down to 14th. But the good news for him is Olenek and Plumley, with their incident, has put him clear of anybody else. Back to Claridge, as he's got multiple cars he's having to lap. Maybe distracting him enough for Trangarade to try something. No, just not there. Down into turn 1, and he's running out of opportunities. If Ove wants to finish in 2nd today and keep himself a little bit more in the hunt for the championship, he's going to have to start making some moves.
Yeah, just 4 laps to go here now, and I think we can pretty much rely on Ove. He's going to go for this all the way until the end of the race. I don't think even points-wise he's too concerned. I think he just wants the 2nd spot.
Exactly. I know these guys will fight hard till the end just for the pride of being able to take as good a finishing position as possible. That's why we saw such hard racing down in the mid-pack as well. It is important to them. Oh, and something happened to Bill Tyler. He is off course. Oh, he had contact with Hisada. Is that Hisada in front of him there? What is going on? Yeah, Hisada almost with a slowdown or something. Oh no, that wasn't Hisada in front of him, it was Hisada behind him, and he did make front to rear contact.
Yeah, it looked like the lap car kind of got them all a bit checked up, and then Hisada just got into the back of him going into wagon there, but pretty unfortunate. I believe Hisada has actually waited for Bill Tyler and let him retake the position.
I don't think so. I'm seeing Hisada in 9th and Tyler down in 15th. So, in fact, Hisada just overtook Bruce Snelson for 9th position just now. So he's continued to try and get what he can get out of this. I have to admit, this has been one of the messier races we've seen in some time, Christian.
Yeah, it absolutely is, and I think it's pretty much a function of just how many cars we have today and the tightness of the track. Obviously, the major overtaking points on the track are heavy braking zones at the end of pretty long straights. We see here, actually going down into turn 1. Claridge under threat again from Ove. Ove not able to get this one done. But yeah, I think that's what it comes down to. The margins under braking with this car are already very, very fine as to whether you're going to make the corner or whether you're going to drastically overshoot it. And you know, when it is that tight, and obviously there's no room for error on a track like this where it's just all grass on the outside, you kind of it's very, very high risk to try and pull off a pass. And we've seen numerous drivers, especially at turn 1 and down at yard sale, have a couple of moments.
Certainly, and it's a lap and a half to go for Ove Trangrade now to manage to finally get one back over on Mick Claridge. Can he do it? They're going to see the white flag momentarily. Courtaniemi just coming up to Paddock Bend now himself, and he is going to mark that one lap to go coming into Paddock Bend. Here we go. This is going to be the best opportunity, probably, and it was a mistake from Mick Claridge coming off the final right-hander. He immediately goes defensive. Ove Trangrade going to be forced to go the long way around and brake deeper. They are almost dead even into the turn, but he's got the inside. Can Claridge use that to his advantage? He's got a nose ahead coming off the turn. He could try and cover him off to the inside. He does not, but even still, Ove Trangrade comes back to the racing line.
Yeah, he's got one more opportunity, I think, here down into yard sale.
Does he take it? I think he's a little too far back for this, indeed, and Mick is going to cover him off regardless, just to play it safe. So up ahead of them, Topi Courtaniemi, 5 seconds ahead of everybody else. Somebody off to the side, letting everybody pass by. Looks like having some trouble and letting them lap him, as the Finn is going to try to return to the top spot in the points soon. He may have lost the championship lead, but last season's championship winner is back up for the win here today in round 5 of the Grand Prix Legends Series. Mick Claridge coming home just barely in second place, inches ahead. Whoa, his car's slowing up on the exit, and Mick having to really play a slalom there to try and get through that. And looks like Trangrade may have gotten some damage after that. We'll have a special thing. Definitely stick around here as cars continue to finish, or their drivers are going to pay special homage to Colin Bentley here after everybody finishes off. Granberg in a fight trying to take it away from Snelson, but wasn't close enough in the end. And then let's see, who else do we have? Billy Bob Wright just wound up 13th. Looks like Nolan Smith was not able to get past him as well. And I think just about to the last of our drivers on the lead lap. Big train of cars. Randy Huff, Christian Eschner, and it looks like Matthew Maudsley, all very close as they cross the line. So that's going to take us through to our results. Topi Courtaniemi, your winner, with Mick Claridge finishing second. You've got Ove Trangrade P3. And, of course, it is Sebastian Tixier in fourth, just outside the podium. Xavier Sanchez was fifth. Roman Pavlowski 6th, and John Olsen up to 7th from 13th. Nice climb. Same thing for Haraski, 14th to 8th. It was Togo Husada going backwards instead of forwards like we expected, and he finished 9th, with Snelson up 7 spots to grab a top 10.
And Martin Granberg just misses out on that top 10. He comes home in 11th. Laust Olsen started 12th, finishes 12th. Bill Wright, we saw him put up a major defense, and he comes home 13th. Nolan Smith, huge rise from 29th to 14th. Rob Olenek going the other way, 9th down to 15th. Bill Tyler comes home in 16th. Robert Plumley, even after his late incident, it finishes in 17th. Emmanuel Pera in 18th. Jorge Neva, F2 points leader, in 19th, with Michael Grissinger in 20th.
21st was Christian Eschner, with Matthew Maudsley 22nd, and Colton Conover, last one on the lead lap, in 23rd. Had it 43 cars. That tells you how short this track is. 24th was Sintez Galindo, Dave Cohen 25th, and Glenn Becker in 26th. And it's Rolly Wolbank in 27th, Peter Vukovsky in 28th, and Gary Ho 29th. For Bruggen was 30th on the field today.
Yeah, Marco Antonio and Lopez Salgado in 31st. The last driver 1 lap down. Eugenio Massa in 32nd, 2 laps down. Jeff Saunders 33rd, with Aldrich Frugenberg in 34th. Gary Anderson back there in 35th. Chris Murakami, we saw him up near the front. Unfortunately, he's 3 laps down in 36th at the flag. Robert Reynolds in 37th. Chris Hanger 38th. Matt Wright and Randy Hoth round out the top 40.
So once we get from there, it is drivers who DNF: Schnabel, Quellen, and Schuster. Did not see the checkered flag, unfortunately, but we have a special little tribute here. You can see the drivers already lined up. They're going to pull forward to the start-finish line and line up, excuse me, and they are going to rev the engines. Then we will have 30 seconds of silence as they cut the engines, and then they will do a slow pace lap at pace speed to honor Connor Bentley. And we'll watch them pull up here as they pay tribute to their longtime friend, many years that they've been racing with Colin in this series. And obviously it means a lot to them to know that they can no longer get to enjoy the presence of their friend, as we now listen to the engines rev and pay our respects. Begins the lap of honor. Drivers taking off, and I have a few more of the stories about Colin, including from Glenn Becker. Says that despite vast differences in skill, he freely shared his time, knowledge, and experience to help others to improve. We're a small community, so it's not uncommon to find we were the only 2 in practice together. The joy of a shared passion is a wonderful gift, and I greatly enjoyed his good cheer and easy manner. He'll be greatly missed. And looking through some of the others that we're seeing from drivers, Yuri Giesen, one who has raced here in the 49s for many years. We haven't seen him in a bit, but he has said driving the Lotus 49, he'd be a strong match, a fair fighter, and a gentleman. He'd be quick on a road course and even quicker on ovals. I certainly enjoyed some great battles with him in the races where we met. Even if things would go south on track, he'd just take it on the chin and we'd happily try again in the next race. I'll miss those battles and his attitude towards them. May he be an inspiration for others. Got one from drivers such as Topi Kortaniemi as well, who we just saw take the win here today Said it saddened me to hear the news, even though I've never met him in person on a virtual racetrack. He was a very competent and fair racer. We had our share of good races, sometimes battling against each other. He was the guy to say hi to everyone he met online on the track. He was also a gentleman off track when we chatted about the races or anything else. A valued member of our online racing community. Rest in peace. Coming through the carousel. Now just about halfway through the lap from our drivers, even the drivers that didn't know him well. And Peter Vikovsky chimes in saying, I'm sorry for your loss. I had the honor of meeting the great Colin in the Lotus 49 Gentlemen's Races. Rest in peace, Colin, from the Czech Republic. So literally from all over the world, drivers chiming in. And Bill Tyler says, I was sad to hear about Colin. I also knew him through online racing. We had been racing each other for a few years, and it was great to have him around, always friendly and positive. We'll miss him. On to the front stretch once again, and we have a special story from a couple drivers here. Going to start with Mick Claridge, who is going to join us here in a moment once he parks on the front stretch. He's been leading the way. He's helped organize a lot of this with the drivers and talking to us so that we could pay this special tribute. And Mick, welcome to the booth. Obviously, this is something extremely important to the drivers, and I'm sure this is very touching for his family. Talk to us a little bit about what Colin meant.
Oh, guys, excuse me, I've got a iRacing microphone in my head. Oh man, that was tough. Yeah, I'm so proud to drive his car today. Just unbelievable. I've never done anything like this in my sim racing career before. It was pretty tough. Yeah, oh mate, Colin, man, I just knew Colin from all the good times we had when he joined the practice servers. If I saw him, joining the server, I'd just join straight up. Normally I just run into an empty server and drive on my own, but if I saw Colin around, I'd join in the practice session and just have a chat with him and catch up and have a laugh and a joke, because that's what Colin was all about, and I just wanted to share a little story about the Motegi race. I don't know if you guys have touched on it or whatever, but he turned up on that weekend, and normally I share my sets with Colin. He was I think he had the same sort of driving style as me, so I used to share sets with him, and that weekend when he turned up at Motegi, I shared him a set, and he was 3/10 quicker than me straight away, and I couldn't believe it. So I asked him, so he had my set, he borrowed my set, and like I said, he was like a good 3/10 quicker, and then I just followed him out on track. I was trying to keep up with him, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't keep up with him, and I just said, look, you better not be using my set, because I couldn't handle it. He was just so quick that weekend, and it ended up being a running joke between me and him. I'd always nick his sets if we was at an oval track, because he was so good at it and so fast. But yeah, mate, I don't really know what to say. I've got cars all around me doing burnouts and all sorts of stuff. But I know Bill Tyler's going to talk about that race with you guys. But yeah, rest in peace, mate. Really miss you. Like I say, I've been so proud to drive your car today. Thanks.
I can't thank you enough for helping put this together. And that was indeed Mick Claridge talking about, I believe, the best finish on the broadcast races that Colin had, second place at Motegi. We were hoping to talk to Bill Tyler, but are not seeing him in here at the moment. So we'll give one quick chat to Topi Kortaniemi, who has joined us as well, and get his thoughts on this one. Topi, obviously an emotional race for a lot of drivers, and you managed to take the win here today. Does this one feel special with all the special tributes to Colin that's around?
I cut out. Yeah. Sorry, it cut out for me. Yeah, it's a kind of a special race. That kind of news I think it surprised us all, but I think it must be the paint today and the racing suit and the helmet that he gave some extra speed.
Yeah, I like that. As back to a good finishing position here today, talking about the racing itself. This win kind of brings you back into things after a no score at Snetterton. Do you feel like the drop week should help you keep in the hunt for the championship, despite Hisada having taken the early lead?
Yeah, probably, because I think next week the drop week's taking effect, and we'll see what's the real situation in the championship.
Well, congratulations on the victory, Topi. Anybody you want to thank before we let you go? We've got Bill Tyler we want to talk to here in a second.
You guys and the community will organize this memorial, and Colin Bentley himself, of course.
Absolutely. That was Topi Kortaniemi, our winner here today. And Bill Tyler has joined us as well as Bill with a 13th, or excuse me, a 16th place finish. Obviously, that's not really the important thing today. Big thing is the memory of Colin. And we were talking to Mick a moment ago about the incredible battle that you had with Colin at Motegi. Tell us a little bit about that.
So like Colin was pretty fast all week, and I think I was pretty fast all week that week. We got to the broadcast race, and partway through we ended up, sort of right next to each other, and we were battling side by side for 4, 5, 6, 7 laps. And then my computer turned off, so that kind of ended that battle. The downside is we fell back like 4.5 seconds from the lead group. It was really good fun racing. So after I rebooted my computer, I rejoined and just watched from the pits. While I was gone, Colin had started really closing the gap up. By the end of the race, he was, I think, 1 or 2 tenths off. And I think if the race had, just a couple more laps, he would have ended up winning that one. He was, great to battle with, and that race, I immediately thought of when I heard about Colin. So, yeah, it was a good memory.
Well, thank you for coming in and sharing that, Bill. And wish it could have been a little bit better finish for you today. It certainly looked like you had fun out there, and I think that's what Colin would have appreciated most. So, thank you so much for coming and giving us your story, Bill.
Yeah, thanks for the coverage, guys.
That was Bill Tyler, P16, good friend of Colin Bentley, who we pay homage to here in the Lotus 49 Grand Prix Legends Series. That's going to close us out with a few thank yous of our own. We want to once again thank the Lotus 49 community ourselves for not only bringing us back for this season of coverage, but giving us this beautiful homage to their friend who's no longer with us. And a thank you goes to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. Additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. Check out her Bandcamp for more great work. And thanks to the team today, Christian, Rob, and Dougie. You can find more info about GSRC at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media. And also check out our merchandise store at gsrc.storenv.com. We keep a link in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment. And, of course, the next race, we are heading off to the Nürburgring Grand Prix circuit. That'll be Sunday, January 22nd at 8:30 a.m. Eastern. We have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out. Mark them down on your calendar. In a couple hours, the Camel GT series is going to Barcelona at noon Eastern. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.